On this week's episode of R&R on Sports, Larry and Howard discuss the troubling string of gun incidents in the sports world. Then we have a riveting conversation with sports journalist and ESPN radio personality Jason Smith. And here are your hosts, Larry Robinson and Howard Robertson.
Hello and welcome to R&R on Sports. I be Howard.
I am the great one, Larry. Is that what they want to do today? You Hobbit?
And mine, what was on Float On? My name is Larry.
And I like a girl. Float on.
Some people don't understand what that is. Everything's cool, man. How you?
I'm wonderful, brother.
I got a speaker in my mic. They get on me about turning my head, so I can't look at you.
You can't look at me?
Not that I want to, but I can't.
Hey, man.
Man, it's all kind of stuff going on. Let me tell you something that I attended.
Okay.
And, time flies when you're having fun, they say.
All right.
So I had the opportunity to attend a dinner in recognition and commemoration for the 50th anniversary of the Memphis State basketball team that went to the finals in 1973, which was my senior year in college. I was sitting 1,000 miles away in Pennsylvania.
You talking about where Bill Walton HR
Lord have mercy.
told y'all
had an out-of-body experience that he never had since.
Well, he was on that good stuff.
We actually went ahead. We were down a few points, and actually at the beginning of the second half, and Leonard Draper reminded me of this the other night. We went up by 3 at the beginning of the second half.
Okay.
And then Bill Walton went on a tear. He missed one shot. He was like 21 for 22 or something like that.
Wow.
And we lost the game. The place where we were, to show you how things work out, place where we were is called the Lowry Walton Center, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they had a little point guard on that team whose name was Bill Lowry.
Okay.
That
is that the Lowry Spice's fan?
No, but he got some spice because he had a little Mac and pushed up on this girl whose last name was Walton.
Uh-oh.
And so he was there.
Okay.
Larry Keenan was there.
Okay.
One other guy was there. But it was fantastic, man.
What do you most remember about that game, being you were a senior in college?
I remember the pride I had because Ronnie Robinson and I went to elementary school together. His brother Neil, and I came up through elementary school together. And Larry, I played against them when I was I played in the first.
You could play some ball?
Huh?
You could play?
Man. Actually, we played in the first game a predominantly white school ever in Memphis played at the black school. We went to Melrose. We went to the old Melrose gym and played Melrose. I went to Catholic High. Tim Morgan was my coach.
I never knew you played basketball.
You did.
I thought you played football.
You did.
Didn't you play end guard and tackle?
No, end guard.
End of the bench, guard the water, and tackle anybody to try to get some.
No, sir.
They ain't no end guards and tackles in basketball, man.
I wanted to play football. I was the greatest wide receiver they never saw. So anyway, it was wonderful being there. And, what Larry Finch and Ronnie Robinson and that team did for Memphis, Tennessee in 1973 and beginning in 1970 was phenomenal.
Wow.
It was phenomenal, man.
Well, listen, man, we got an amazing show today.
Yeah.
We got a great guest, Brother Jason Smith of local fame that's big on the basketball scene.
ESPN Radio.
Yeah, so we got an amazing show today.
Looking forward to talking to him.
Well, listen, we're going to come right back, and I'm going to get in Howard's ass about the fact that he ain't been watching no hoops. So stay right there. Stay right there because I'm telling you, I'm going to tear him a new one when we get back.
And I'm scared.
Be right back.
I'm scared.
Riffin' on jazz.
But she was a sheriff's deputy.
Where?
In Detroit.
In Detroit. Oh, my God. You can't be no punk for that.
And ended up playing a flute.
Riffin' on jazz on the Kazookian Network.
This is R&R on Sports.
Welcome to another edition of Fly on the Wall. A little R&R eavesdropped on students in a study group preparing for an exam in one of the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill's bogus African and African American studies classes. And now you become a fly on the wall.
Okay, guys, look, we got to get focused. Professor Debbie's given us an opportunity to stay eligible. You in track, you in football, me in basketball. Let's be focused. Let's get it done. Okay, question 1. Is the continent of Africa, A, a city, B, a country, C, a continent?
Well, I don't think Africa's a city, is it?
Hell no. It ain't a city. Africa is a country. Because when somebody goes there, they say they're going to another country. See, it's a trick question, man. I say Africa is a country.
Yeah, man.
Agreed.
Question 2. Who created peanut butter? A, Peter Pan, B, George Washington Carver, C, Willie Earl Skipper, a.k.a. Skippy.
Well, I always thought Peter Pan was black. Negro. Make that African American.
Peter Pan ain't a brother, man.
Don't be fooled, my brothers. Peanut butter was created by Brother Willie Earl Skipper, thus the name of the best peanut butter in the world, Skippy.
You're damn Skippy.
Yeah, man. Okay, this question number 3, it's a hard one. Who is known to have asked that famous question, how long, not long? A, Malcolm X. B, Flavor Flav. C, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Wow, that is a hard one.
Not to worry, my brothers, because thanks to me, we will not be tricked, hoodwinked, or bamboozled. The apparent answer would be Martin Luther King, but one must look deeper into the symbolism of all this. This is all about time, i.e., how long? And what is it that keeps time? A clock. And what is Flav known for wearing?
A clock. Damn, man, you're brilliant. So the answer's Flava Flav.
Yeah, man.
Question number 4 is another King question. Which march did Martin Luther King lead in the nation's capital, which was the largest march of its time? A, the Million Man March, B, the March on Washington, or C, the March of Dimes?
The March of Dimes was big, man. We had it in Jamaica.
I say it's the Million Man March. Wasn't that the biggest of all time?
That would be correct, my Caucasian comrade. Martin led the Million Man March in D.C.
Yeah, man.
Okay, bonus question, and there's no wrong answer. What song best typifies Rosa Parks' act of protest on the bus?
Oh, that's easy, man. It's this one.
Get up, stand up for your right.
Yo, y'all, how about this?
And I am telling you, I'm not going.
Well, that's cool, but mine is...
We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power.
Yeah, brothers, we gonna ace this exam.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we sure are.
So a lot of what we're seeing is reactionary. A lot of what we're seeing is something happens and now everybody wants to be reactionary to it. There's a few small groups and there's a few small organizations and people. There's people out here that are talking about what this looks like to be 365.
You can legislate saying, well, we'll pump the brakes. We want to see what type of personality is going to actually get a gun. And if you ain't right, you're not going to get this job. That's not done enough, to your point. So you can train them to high heavens, but if they ain't right here, it doesn't matter what happens. At 1:45 in the morning and that gun's on their hip, something bad might happen.
I think you've got to, number one, educate our young people about the importance of managing their wealth and the importance of working and saving and trying to, unfortunately, undo a lot of the stuff that's been programmed with our culture and within the hip hop culture specifically.
Funky Politics.
Kadzukian. Check out all your Kadzukian favorites now. Download the Kadzukian app, available on Android and iOS.
This is R&R on Sports.
Back for more R&R. So, where to start?
Man,
where
we've
to
had
begin?
some crazy stuff happening this week, man.
All over.
I mean,
everywhere.
Just crazy, man. Let's start. Let's start on the football side. Let's start on the football side.
Okay.
Joe Mixon, 11-year-old shot on his property. What's this thing with gun violence, man, and this thing with guns? What do you mean? With athletes.
What do you mean? What is it?
What is it? What is it?
How do you think, or why do you think that that athletes or entertainers or anybody else is immune to the rash of gun availability, the ease of gun availability, and the rash of gun crime? Nobody is immune to this stuff.
Well, man, I mean, first of all, if I'm an athlete, I'm going to have a certain level of protection around me. So I don't believe that I would necessarily have to have a gun. Secondly,
they don't have it for protection necessarily.
What do they have?
It's an accessory now. It's a show off.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
Well, if you're going to take it there, then obviously Sean Kemp doesn't feel that it's an accessory because he's shooting a drive-by. So this is an old fool. So you tell me you leave somewhere, you got to drive by to shoot somebody.
We knew Sean. How long we been knowing Sean is foolish?
Since he was in UK. Since he was in UK for the cup of coffee that he had
been
there.
The quintessential drunk uncle.
You didn't call the brother a drunk uncle.
Man, what?
Man, listen, that's the Rain Man, man. You can't talk about the Rain Man.
Go back through the stuff that Sean did.
No, bro. I was in Kentucky.
You want to do that?
I was in Kentucky.
You want to do Sean's greatest hits?
I was in Kentucky.
Okay, so go for it.
No, I was just in Kentucky, man. And what was that? What was the coach's name? Golly, what was the coach's name? Was at Oklahoma State first. Eddie Sutton.
Eddie Sutton, yeah.
Eddie Sutton was like, dude, you got to go. Eddie Sutton got him up out of there so quick. I mean, Sean wasn't there, but like 5 minutes. He went to freshman orientation. After freshman orientation, they had his bags packed at the Wildcat Lodge and had him up. They wouldn't even let the brother in the lodge,
That's
man.
what I'm talking about.
Now listen, once again,
you could do a Sean Kemp greatest hits. And it would be most shocking and amazing. So you know he's been foolish. Don't act like he.
Well, wait a minute. All right, so now we got another gun situation. You got Ja Morant. He wants to dance at the club in Colorado. Put the gun next to his face, next to his head.
I ain't seen no little cute gun like that since I watched.
That fit in his purse.
No, what was it? Harlem Nights. Harlem Nights. That looked like the gun this chick tried to shoot Eddie Murphy with.
Oh, the
little cute gun she put up on the pillow.
He said, shoot me in my pinky toe.
No, not that one. That was a real gun. He shot Della Reese with a real one. But this one she had on
It was a little bitty cute gun.
Yeah, Jasmine got.
A little bitty
cute gun. That's it. He holding it like that with 2 fingers. Please, y'all. Man, here's what I hate to see. Being in my business and doing what we do. We're in the branding business, man. I hate to see somebody mess up a perfectly good, valuable, beneficial brand. And that's what this kid is doing before he even truly gets started.
Hey, you ain't lying on that one, man. I mean, this kid is destroying his brand. He went from unknown, lovable kid, took the world most entertaining player in the NBA.
Ever.
Within a matter of months, this kid has become infamous, a pariah. All of those things.
I wouldn't agree with that. I would say when he started, he's not a pariah yet.
When he started talking about,
people are still pulling for him.
Yes, but when he started talking about the Golden State Warriors, and when he started talking this junk about, I ain't worried about nobody in the West.
Yeah,
you know, once again, there's something that we call, basketball gods. And what I believe is that you insulted the basketball gods. Whenever you got a defending champion and you tell somebody they ain't worried about you, they ain't had any injuries or nothing, and then you look at this, how powerful the West is, and you're going to say something so ignorant and immature as that?
I think that,
I
just blew by. I don't think it did.
I don't think it did. Because I think when you follow it up with the incident with the Indiana Pacers, you follow it up now with the situation with the 17-year-old kid, and you start piling these things. Now,
but even
in addition to that, wait a minute, hold on. In addition to that, they got their ass beat for like the next 8-9 games when he made that comment.
True.
Maybe pariah is a little strong.
I think it
But what I'm saying is this kid is going down that path. He's no longer the cute, lovable kid. He becomes the thug with the dreads and all of that kind of stuff. And the tats.
Get it.
I think that starts being a part of his persona.
I think potentially it could indeed go there, but I don't think it's there. I think it's still very early in the game. I hear people pulling for him. Everybody I hear is pulling for him.
I'm sure they pulling for him. But now
not.
Okay, so Powerade had a big thing they was about to do.
Yeah.
You haven't launched your shoes yet. So you got a shoe deal that they had a pop-up and everything at All-Star in Utah.
They're costing.
We ain't going to talk about
that's
Utah.
That's why I'm worried about his brand. Because he is costing his employers
now
money.
He's got a deal in his contract that would bring him extra money if he was to be All-NBA.
Got it.
But all of that being said, all of this is now in jeopardy.
Got it.
Within a matter of a couple months.
True that. It's all about what he does next and what happens next. Is all about.
Well, you a PR man. What would you advise? What would you advise?
You know what?
What would you advise? Crisis management. You just got the call. John Morant, it was Saturday morning. You get the call. John Morant's acting a fool. We got Howard and Trust Marketing on the stand. What you got?
They did basically what I would have advised. Cut out all the social media stuff. Kill that. Put a statement out. Be contrite and apologize. And then put that out.
Wasn't no video.
And no, it wasn't a video. And then shut the hell up and keep still.
Okay.
That's what
you would recommend.
Dadgum Skippy.
You wouldn't recommend giving no shoes to anybody or
giving no shoes.
Giving shoes to all the kids.
People,
go
take
to
some of your shoes out
Go to St. Jude
and pass them out. Go to St. Jude.
Pass
no.
What?
No.
You would do nothing. You would be quiet.
Yo, I would do what keep your butt still. Go get yourself and have some interventions.
Some interventions?
Yeah, internally.
Okay. All right, then. I don't know, PR Maven you.
Hey, man. Ain't no Maven.
Oh, okay.
I hate that word.
Well, listen, man, listen. But one more thing. One more thing before we go to break, and then we got to get.
But I'm going to tell you somebody who's got a real opportunity.
Dame Lillard.
Tigers got a real opportunity in March Madness.
Dame Lillard.
Yes.
71. Yeah. Put 71 on him.
Yeah. He's the truth.
Man, that kid got
Pure
ice
shooter.
in his veins.
Pure shooter. He is the
Dame
truth.
time. So I had to just drop that in.
He's absolutely the truth.
I had to drop that in.
Yeah,
bro.
no doubt. No doubt. Jason Smith with us here. First time on R&R on Sports. Back after this.
Blues in the basement.
Indeed, I like that song a lot.
Ooh, I'm like my girl. She was singing that.
Bobby will tell you about his wives.
Wives, yeah. Yeah.
And what's the title?
It is Going Back to Memphis.
Why wouldn't that be in here? That boy can sing.
Oh, he can sing.
I didn't say sing. That boy can sing.
It was a featuring.
He does not feature her name.
Well, dang.
And he does it on purpose.
Okay. No, I did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Shoes
the
up.
lies you tell.
You are listening to Blues in the Basement. Blues in the Basement. Blues in the Basement, powered by Kadzukian.
That's it.
Kadzukian. Check out all your Kadzukian favorites now. Download the Kadzukian app, available on Android and iOS.
This is R&R on Sports.
Welcome back to R&R on Sports. See, I had to leave him room.
Well, you need
to do his Smokey Robinson thing.
You need to leave me room, bro.
We are very proud to be able to always consistently bring you the best guests. Today is no different. We have Memphis, Tennessee's finest sports journalists
This
in the
brother
house.
been at it for a long time too.
Yes, he's a young guy.
Yeah, he's a young guy. He's a JK.
14.
He's a JK.
Yeah.
You know what that
It's
is?
a family business.
You know what that is?
We're talking about,
You know what that is, JK?
What?
A journalist kid. That's it.
Jason Smith, welcome to R&R on Sports, my brother.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Thrilled really to be with Howard more so in this character right here, Larry Robinson. Yes, it's an absolute honor. Larry, it is as well. But I've long wanted to join you guys on this show, so it's an absolute honor to be here.
Appreciate that,
Yeah.
man. What took you so long?
Life, I guess. Yeah. And man, we had a lot go on. Job changes, career change, profession changes. But
You've had a lot happening, man. You have, and you know what? There's been a lot happening in Memphis.
No question.
And let's dive right into it. First of all, just a little background about yourself. Let people know, since this is your first time on, give people the Cliff Notes version of your career.
University of Memphis graduate, came out in 2002 and had the after being an older student. That's a longer story, and maybe we'll get into that later. But yeah, it started at TSU, historically black college up in Nashville. I got up there and got that freedom in '94, and it just turned me out. This man knows my didn't last a semester. How up there, lost my scholarship. Mom and dad said you got to come back home, and so it was 5 years later.
First, you lost your mind, all that.
In one semester. He can't have lost his mind raw.
The majorettes. I saw we were down the hole, and that bass was playing, and them horns were playing, and I found a new side of me. As a mixed kid, I found some rhythm. First
you partied yourself out of TSU?
Within a few weeks, within a semester. And so from that standpoint, my mom and dad, instead of paying for my second semester, since I was on academic probation, said, "No, son, you don't realize what you had. You're going to come home and you're going to come back to Memphis. You're going to get a job and you're going to figure it out the hard way."
Yeah.
And so 5 years later, the Cliff Notes version, I finally realized in 99, I need to get my butt back in school. I tried construction, tried being a security guard for Imperial, realized that those were jobs. I needed a profession.
Right.
So in 99, got back into school And 3 years later, was able to graduate, get a job with Commercial Appeal in 2003. And it was a blessing. It was an
Went
absolute
back
blessing.
To school at U of M?
Yep, at the University of Memphis.
Okay.
My mom had worked there, so I was lucky. Didn't have to take out any loans or anything like that. Was able to get half off. And so it was an absolute blessing, to be honest with you. And I've told Larry this. I was that moth that needed to get close to the flame to learn. I was hard-headed. And I wouldn't trade the experience for anything because it made me learn, and it made me appreciate more what I had, appreciate more what you've got to work for. Coming out of high school, I'll be honest with you, White Station had been relatively easy. I'm passing tests. I'm a B average kid, and all of a sudden I got TSU offering me a free ride. And for the most part, I'd made all the right decisions in terms of my parents, and my younger brother was the bad one. So this is the kid that ain't gonna give us no problem. Got up there and lost it. Got up there to Nashville, lost it. It was all on me. But back to the point, I wouldn't trade it because that's the way I needed to learn. That's the way God used me. I figured out that was my path. And thankfully, after going to school for 3 more years at U of M, like I really picked it up and was ready. As an older student, I was more mature. I understood. I got purpose now. Came out after writing for the Daily Helmsman.
So were you headed? I mean, Larry mentioned you as being a JK, a journalist kid. Were you headed in that direction anyway?
Well, it was the plan when I got back in school. My father had been a local television, started in sports, Les Smith, transferred, moved over to news, and spent 30 years in local media. So my big idea was to go to Memphis, try to get a TV background and follow in his footsteps, try to go to television. A gentleman by the name of Jerome Wright, who was a black neighbors editor at the Commercial Appeal, loved this man to death. Was teaching.
He lives across the street from me.
Man, tell him I said hello. And he, I mean, Jerome Wright is responsible in a lot of ways for my career because it was in that features writing class that he said, "Yeah, you could do TV." But newspapers, Jason, will offer you more. You're a decent writer. You can come into it. And instead of having those little 2-minute sound bites to tell a story, we'll give you a little longer. Now, this was back in 1999, 2000, when the newspaper business was still looking pretty good at that point before the internet sunk it to the point that it is now, and you're losing subscriptions. But at the time, that sounded real good to me because I think what I realized later was, much like my father, who was this great storyteller, I loved telling stories. And so doing that in a newspaper setting, in print edition, I just felt it was more fulfilling, it was more gratifying. So long story short, I decided to change over to print, become that. And the CA hired me after I graduated 2002. They hired me 2003 full-time. I had freelance for them, done everything I can to let them know, look, I want this. And in 2003, they gave me a job as a Preps high school sports reporter that I spent 7 years in, covering everything from, the high school basketball in town that's so rich in tradition. But then you're out at bowling matches, you're out covering St. Mary's volleyball, and but again, that back then that was part of you paying your dues in the newspaper industry and working up the ladder. So much has changed since then, but I was so happy to be a part of it, man. I didn't care what I was covering. It just felt like
hold on, listen. We're talking with Jason Smith, 92.9 ESPN. I want to know, of all that prep sports you covered, specifically basketball, who was the baddest high school ball player?
It's a great question.
That you ever witnessed?
It's a great question because I'd wrestle with this internally.
Okay.
Thaddeus Young is still in the league right now, and is a guy who, coming out of Mitchell High School, father played in the league, married his high school sweetie. You've never seen Thad in any trouble. The only thing you see of Thad is his family on social media. Been the quintessential professional basketball player, who's now, 13, 14, 15 years into his career. Unbelievable. Wow. Great player. You could not stop him. 6'7", 6'8", maybe 6'9" at Mitchell. Left-handed, you couldn't stop him. I covered him all this time at Mitchell. I fell in love with him from the first time I saw him. Plus, he's just such a smart, went to Georgia Tech, super smart. See him now investing, like he's, you know that he's just got a beautiful future even after basketball. All that said, I still can't put him above. You talking about a high school player that I saw and covered. I can't put him above Joe Jackson.
Really?
Because Joe Jackson, who scored more points than him in high school, 4 years, played as a starter at White Station since his freshman. Joe was such a competitor. You could not stop him on the high school level. There wasn't any stopping Joe. If the team was down 10-15, McDonald's All-American, the team was down 10-15, Joe gonna score 20, 30 in the second half. He was unstoppable. And see, the Thad you always knew was an NBA prospect. But with Joe, it was, I've never seen anything like this. This guy is dunking on people at 5'10", sitting on their shoulders over at White Station's gym after he dunks on him. This 6'5" kid I watched him dunk on, goes up to state, performs well. There was a thing about, Thaddeus Young's teams at Mitchell. They always made the state. And it was no fault of Thad's, but they never got over the top. Joe, in the biggest moments in high school, he broke through. And except for one Melrose team that had Adonis Thomas and Chris Jones on that got him and had a great plan for him. But to your point, and one of the baddest scorers we've ever seen come out of here, right up there with Bobby Bingo Smith and all the rest of them. Like Joe's right there behind those guys as the all-time leading high school scorers out of here. And for me, Joe Jackson. Yeah, I want to say he's still third or fourth. Smith. Yeah, Bingo's still first. But Joe's up there in that range. And Thad was on more balanced teams, so his scoring was never that high.
I wish you could have seen Bobby
I wish
Smith
I could have too.
in high school.
His numbers retired for the Cavaliers.
God.
Like he was even a great pro.
He could play anything.
That's what they said.
He was a wide receiver on the football team.
Yep.
He played basketball.
Star.
He did everything on track, and he was a baseball player. Full four-sport letterman.
He was unbelievable.
Wow.
And still is all over the record books, including best scorer we ever had come out of here.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, him, Newman, those guys, all of them were, it was a whole different level. Johnny Newman.
Yeah.
What was it like covering the likes of, Adonis Thompson, some of the baddest casted this latest era of Memphis ballers? What's it like covering those guys?
Well, it's fun because there's such a rich tradition, that goes back so far here in Memphis in terms of high school ball players and the way this area has been thought of as just a fertile recruiting ground, a producer of massive talent. So to answer your question, I felt like I was part of a tradition of the next big ones. Right. Whether it was Adonis Thomas coming up. Yeah. And Adonis is a funny story because if the NBA hadn't had the rule where you couldn't come out, if you could go straight from high school still, I truly believe Adonis would have gone out of Melrose. Now, what happens is he gets to college and folks see his deficiencies, everything else, realize he's really a 6'5" shooting guard that they got to power forward. It didn't work out for him. But back to the point, it was more the tradition of covering Memphis high school basketball that, Howard just said, it goes all the way back to even Larry at Melrose, those next big things and sort of who's that going to be. And so every off season it would be, okay, what's the next class coming? Who's the next big class in Memphis? Because you've come to expect that. Now, what I've learned too is it's always cyclical. You'll have down years where you don't have NBA level or even maybe a ton of Division I level talent, but it always here in Memphis, it always comes back. And so I think to answer your question, the best part of it, more so than the games or the legendary coaches, from Terry Tippett, Jerry Peters, big time over at Fairleigh, Jimmy Adams at Raleigh Egypt, it was the fact that you are in something that is become such a staple, such a part of the fabric of the community, and you are getting to cover it. So I looked at it always as I was blessed to be in the position, and I'm part of something that's like, something that's become part of the fabric of Memphis, part of history in a way. And so that's the way.
Since this is a national show, I got to tell people that guy we were talking about, Bobby Smith, graduated from Melrose, went to Tulsa, and went on to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and his jersey and his name are in the rafters at Cleveland right now as we speak. You are listening to R&R on Sports. We appreciate it, and we'll be right back after this.
Human Speed with Kirk Whalum.
Avery Sunshine, I am just overjoyed to spend some time with you.
Listen, what you know about pot liquor? You from Memphis, so you know.
My favorite part of all of that, I'm like, don't throw that away.
Human Speed with Kirk Whalum.
This is R&R on Sports with sports journalist and ESPN radio personality Jason Smith. And here are your hosts, Larry Robinson and Howard Robertson.
Back for more R&R on Sports with Jason Smith. So I want us to talk about a plethora of things.
Oh, that's a $5 word.
Yeah. See, you went to school in Kentucky. Y'all didn't have that kind of
No, we didn't. Absolutely, we did not. We would say
So,
plenty. We say plenty.
Let's start out.
Inappropriate.
Let's start out with the unfortunately low-hanging fruit. Let's start out with the Grizzlies in general. Okay. Now and then we're gonna back into
How long is it
the
gonna
other
take you to answer this
situation
damn
when I get
question?
ready, Larry.
Damn.
When however long, whatsoever amount of time it
Boy,
is.
sitting there just like waiting to
So-
talk, man, and you sitting there
So,
going on.
Let's
and
start with the Grizzlies. What's your perspective of how they are doing everything?
That ain't what you want to ask, though.
Well, you rushed him.
You want to ask about Ja Morant.
We're gonna get there.
All right, well, go ahead.
Still, boy.
Even with everything going on, I still think they're ahead of schedule, Howard. I mean, you're talking about, between Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bain, that threesome, which I truly believe are all three guys who are going to be all-stars multiple times, Bain included.
Yeah.
With that threesome, 23, 24 years old, like you don't see many NBA teams ready to win a championship at that age. Usually it happens a little later.
Right.
And so having those three already in the fold, two of them already signed to deals, and the third one with Bain is probably going to come this summer on the max extension. You're still ahead of schedule. All of that said, I can't help but feel like they are wasting an opportunity this year. But set aside winning championship, because I'm saying I don't believe they're mature enough to do that. But to see, to learn, to grow in the playoffs after winning a playoff series last year, there was an opportunity to either take another step or, more importantly, just learn more, hitting your head up against it. We saw the Bulls do that for years. Couldn't break through the Pistons. All of those learning experiences are key to when you do break through. So I feel like having been a second seed in the West for most of the season, to put yourself in the spot now where we don't know when he's going to be back. Steven Adams now out for looks like the rest of the regular season. We know Brandon Clark's gone now for the rest of the regular season. Dylan Brooks looks like he's hurting his team more than he's helping them. You feel like there was an opportunity to learn more about yourself in those playoffs that may be wasted at this point. Because again, so much is up in the air with when will Ja be back? If we knew that, maybe we get a little bit better feel. But right now, after what felt like, even as recently as last week, you beat Houston first game on that road trip. You're feeling pretty good about where this team is. And all in a night, Ja Morant makes a mistake. Brandon Clark out for the season. It's come unraveled so quickly, but maybe still an opportunity again to at least get in the playoffs and learn some more about yourself.
And that is what, for me, is conspicuously absent. I'm going to give you two words to me that are conspicuously absent from the Grizzlies. One is wisdom, and two is poise.
Yeah.
They have neither. And they're not getting it from the bench. They don't have it on the floor, and they're not getting it apparently from the bench. They have played games that were easily winnable. And it's the same scenario. They get a lead, they can't keep it. They can't build on it, and they relinquish it, and they get beat in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's happened a ton this season. Especially on the road.
Is that the scenario, or is it just me?
No, it's
y'all
I
seeing
think it's
this?
great. It's definitely the scenario. But I go back to they have no veteran leadership.
But I think you're hitting.
You said that the other day.
They have no veteran leadership. I mean, you think about even the Golden State Warriors. Take out, Steph and Draymond and all that. You still got an Andre Iguodala on the bench. You got Andre Iguodala, consummate professional, so on and so forth. In order for you to make that jump, you got to have that. I don't believe Ja gets into the comment or makes the comments that he does if there was somebody he respected on the bench. What's your take on that?
Well, you're absolutely right about the roster and it lacking veteran leadership. I don't think there's anybody over 30 years old on the roster now that you moved off of Danny Green, who could have helped you in that department and was basically saying, this is what I'm here to do in the preseason.
Right. He
a guy like that,
role.
no question about it. And so you lack that. Now, I will push back a little bit, Larry, on this. You need those guys in your locker room, and I believe any team that's going to win a championship or have young guys that need to learn needs that in there. That said, I know for a fact, whether it's Steven Adams or who's in the locker room, or more importantly, smart people outside the locker room, Penny Hardaway, Jalen Rose, there are folks that have tried to talk to Ja that aren't necessarily in the locker room, but that have told Ja, brother, you can't do this.
You can't do that.
And listen, and this is where we know it as men, and especially when we were in our early 20s.
Right.
How much are we listening?
Right.
When we've got that, and especially if the world's been handed to you in the sense that, man, I'm maxed out now. I got Nike coming to me, Powerade, right? And you're telling me that I ought to be doing it like this, brother. I'm doing just fine. And so I remember myself being a lot like that in the 20s. My point is that you can have all the veterans in the world in the locker room. If Ja is not listening, or if he doesn't believe he's got an issue, and what you hear about him is, listen, Ja doesn't, you know, Danny Green said this, that Ja's not running with a crew of the young guys on the team and going out to the party. It's Ja by himself with his guys outside of the team. Bane and those guys, man, they're getting ready for the game the next night. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a group of young guys that are out of control. It's Ja Morant with his crew who's made some bad decisions. So back to my point, I don't think it necessarily matters how many vets you've got in there if he's not listening, if he's not in a place, right, in his maturation where he's realized, you know what, I do need to make a change.
How much of an issue or a factor is T?
It's a great question because I'll put it this way. It's so easy to criticize T. I've seen it everywhere on social media. I would just beat my kid to ass. This wouldn't have happened. Right. How y'all gonna blow this like this?
Right.
But what we've got to remember too is, T has been a great father in the sense that he set Ja up for this.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Had a 2-parent household. Right. Raised him up. Put him in private school. Right. Put him in the position to be able to get all that. That's great fatherhood. And so to try to take some of this criticism that you see and use it to beat T down, I refuse to do that. I do see a man though that, much like Ja, is learning how to deal with all this. Like they go from, let's be real, it's rags to riches compared to what they have now. And so even him dealing with it at this point and what sort of advice I should give to my son, I think he's learning his way through too.
Well, he's become a celebrity too.
Well, and I wonder how useful is that? I do. Because listen, I think T. Morant should have front row seats. If my son makes the NBA, I want front row seats. But what you've got to realize too is there's, when I've got Ja's best friend getting into it with the Pacers and now I'm into it. Or I'm into it with Shannon Sharp and we're becoming a distraction for the team. That's where even with our newfound fame and riches, I've got to realize that this is hurting more than helping. And so from that standpoint, from just the standpoint of just tightening things up, like you're talking about 2 gun incidents now. Right. You're talking about several incidents now where T on the sideline has gotten into it, whether it's with players or with fans. That is not the way of professionals. And I thought Shaq said this best, like, you don't want to put yourself in a position, right, where you're allowing them to take it back away from you. Absolutely. Where it's self-inflicted.
Absolutely.
Not after you work this hard. Not after you put parachutes on your back in the backyard to be this athletic, trained to go like you had tattooed. You put in too much work to give it back. And so that's whether it's with the antics with T or, more importantly, Ja and his decision-making now as a man. T can't go out and try. He has raised this young man. They have got to tighten it up. That's where I'm at.
Well, hold on. I'll even push back on you. In that even Michael Jordan had a Bill Cartwright. And, with Michael Jordan acting
Oakley
a fool,
was there too. Yeah,
well,
had those vets.
I'm thinking of Bill Cartwright because Bill Cartwright slapped him pretty good when he got disrespectful. So my thing is, if Jordan can get corrected, there's an older person who
I agree.
that literally would be in that locker room and be like, "No, man, you're not going to do this."
I think you're absolutely right. They missed that element.
This. And they're missing that because the other guys on the team are young. The Desmond Bane is like, "Man, I'm just trying to get my next contract." Triple J. Right. I'm trying.
Well, they haven't been through. They don't know what to say to him.
Right. They don't know what to
like
say.
those old heads.
Exactly.
I do believe in terms of roster building, you are absolutely right that going forward, they are going to have to get more leadership because you've got so many young ones. It's not just Ja. You're trying to. It's all of those. Whether it's Jaren Bane, all of them. It's such a young nucleus.
Very true.
Veteran leadership can't do anything but help this team. Hopefully, they have more of it next season.
I think there's something that our young people get twisted. That I've said this to Larry, and we've talked about it. Bottom line is, at the bottom of your check, of their check, is somebody else's name. Okay. They don't sign their own checks, okay? And this person's name is on other checks as well, which says that he can pay all of y'all and still have some money. That's how well he's got it. My point is, you work for somebody, okay? And you got to do what you got to do to keep your job.
Exactly.
That's your living. That's what you do. And so this ain't just about you.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And he may have already cost himself $40 million.
Yeah.
Because, for this max contract that he signed, it's $191 million value.
Right.
But if you are all NBA this year, first, second, or third team, that contract goes from 191 to 230.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
and so because that all NBA team is voted on by writers, sports writers, and broadcasters, they may have already decided, forget how many games Ja's going to miss now. They may have already decided, you know what? This isn't becoming. We've now had 2 gun incidents. No, nothing charged, no charge.
Right.
But 2 incidents where the NBA's had to come investigate. Some of these reporters are going to look down at that ballot and say, you know what? Not this year for Ja.
I'm gonna tell y'all what.
And it's literally going to cost him $40 million. Quite possibly.
Watch the Powerade deal. Watch the Powerade deal because the Powerade was launching and putting more money in a campaign than they ever had before in the history of the brand.
They were banking on him.
And banking on him to start, and they were going to start this campaign in March Madness. Think they're going to start it now?
It was so unfortunate for him that on that same day they launched that campaign, the Washington Post story comes down with the 2 incidents from the summer where he's hit the 17-year-old kid, at least been accused of that, and the 17-year-old's accusing him of having a gun.
Right.
And so that came down the same day.
Day.
What you doing? Back to the point. Don't let them take it away because you gave it to them.
Right. Yeah.
And in making those decisions, you're reaching a point where you might do something irreparable. At this point, it's all to me. You can still get past this clearly. You haven't hurt anyone, to this point in terms of harm, but there's too much of a pattern. That's what concerns you.
So we got 30 seconds. I want you to talk about your future for you. If you could had your druthers in terms of what the next step would be for you.
I want to be in local radio here in Memphis for the rest of my life.
Is that
And
right?
I want to get more black men and women in radio, more people of color in radio, brown as well.
Right.
And especially in my hometown, moved here in 2nd grade, but I call it my hometown, been raised here, all that, here in Memphis, because I feel like that's what God at this point has put me in that platform to do. It's embarrassing, the lack of representation, not just sports radio, but in media. Media in Memphis, the lack of has it gotten better? Sure. We came here in the 80s. My father worked for Channel 5, where we moved here from Fort Pierce, Florida, and there were very few blacks in the media. It felt all white back at that point. It's gotten better, but particularly in the sports radio side of it, it has not.
Right.
And so my hope is that I can stay in that job long enough to where I've got enough pull or enough of people actually listening to me that I can get more people like you guys, more people like me in here saying what we think.
Good for you, man.
Absolutely. Wait a minute.
my hope.
One last question.
All right, Larry.
Prediction for the Grizzlies this year. What's your prediction?
First round exit.
First round exit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm just so concerned that, last year they won taking Steven Adams off the floor against Minnesota.
Right.
Taking him off the floor and going small with Brandon Clark.
Right.
And sort of running, and they're a team that, Minnesota was still trying to learn. You can't even do that this year.
Right.
Because with Brandon out for the rest of the season. And so, again, not knowing what the health, we may very well have seen the last of Steven Adams. They're saying 4 weeks till a reevaluation. That's the rest of the regular season.
Oh, wow.
So the version of Steven Adams you get won't even be similar. So because, man, the West is loaded now since that trade deadline. A lot going to depend on, Kevin Durant. He slipped the other night, and they said he might not play the regular season, but I'm worried that we could be looking at a first round exit, but I would not be overly disappointed by it. If you could get through the season in terms of getting through this year, you figured out, I think, at least in my terms, you don't need Dylan Brooks going forward. You're moving off him and looking to upgrade. We saw the reports where they were trying to get OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges, but what clearly is you need an upgrade at that position. And so all that said, with your nucleus as young as it is, even a first round exit, I don't think is overly disappointing. It'll just be part of the process. And I do believe that in 4 to 5 years, this franchise will win a title.
Fantastic.
All right.
What you got to say about that?
But they need more veteran leadership.
That's true. True that. Jason Smith, we appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen.
All right, now look, let us say this. Don't let it be that this long before you come back. Now, you welcome to come anytime.
I'm gonna have.
We might make you one of our go-to cats.
I'd be honored. I'd love to, cause this man here has helped me more than he knows.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, you talk about God's plan. That man was helping me before I even knew I was gonna be headed to radio.
I've been working with him, man. He was like the Beverly Hillbillies when I first met him. We'll be back for more.
Gloom, despair, agony on me. Oh,
R&R on Sports.
Hey, I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels.
And I'm your co-host, Williams Brack. And Grindset takes a deep dive into the mentality of the entrepreneur in Memphis.
This show unpacks the entrepreneurial journey. What's your Grindset?
So make sure to check us out on your favorite podcast provider.
Grindset on the Kazookian Network.
This is MJ, and when I'm not in Chicago hanging out with Scotty and the rest of these guys, I'm always listening to R&R on Sports.
Welcome back. R&R as we head toward the door.
Is this the end? Are you my friend?
Sing it, Larry. Go ahead, boy. What's the next line?
You used to come around when the chips were down. Come on, man. Don't be. You listen.
You got tired of yourself.
No, man. I'm tired of giving you. I'm tired of giving my skills away for free. I got an engagement in Cleveland tomorrow. I got another engagement in St. Louis. St. Louis. I'm singing the national anthem.
Bay St. Louis.
I'm singing the Black national anthem in St. Louis. And then I go to Gaston Springs, Georgia, and I got another engagement.
Watch yourself in Georgia now. You better watch.
I ain't going to Forsyth.
Yeah,
I'm going to Gaston Springs.
So who you got to say goodbye after all of that foolishness? Who are you shouting out?
I'm shouting out Brittany Griner, man. Brittany Griner's got her stuff together. She's back. She's making appearances. She's all set for the WNBA this season.
When do they start?
Tomorrow.
Do they?
No, I don't know. After they start after the championship in June. They start in June.
Okay.
So I'm really excited. It was great to see her and her wife be able to come out and be ready to start the new season. I just think it's great for her to be home.
I'm happy for her.
I can't imagine.
It wasn't that long ago we were talking about every shout out. We would pay respect.
I bet you can't get her on a plane to save your life right now going anywhere outside the country.
God bless her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. The best for her. And wish the best to all the teams. March Madness is starting up. And hey, man,
you think the Tigers are gonna do something?
I think the Tigers can do something. Yeah, I think the game with Houston was a huge confidence builder. They were there, could have won, but they got to keep They got to keep the right things. The
senior leadership. So, we're going to also shout out the Memphis Tigers.
Absolutely. So, all righty. I am Howard Robertson.
I'm the great one.
I'm by myself. There's nobody else on this show. R&R on Sports. I am so pleased that you're with me here every week. I appreciate it. I will be back next week all alone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'm out.
Listen, I'll see y'all later. This is the great one, Larry Robinson, and I'll make sure that I tag along just so that you will enjoy the show. So we'll be back next week.
All right, country boy.
Peace.
R&R is hosted by Larry Robinson and Howard Robertson. R&R is directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by Kazookian.